Hi, this is Jason McLeod. I'm a paranormal investigator and empath, and I've worked with Ed and Lorraine Warren, who started the entire paranormal investigation craze that it is today back in the 1960s and 70s. And I'm very proud to call them my friends and my mentors, my inspiration, and in my later years, my colleagues. I started with them since I was 18 years old, and the very first case that I ever investigated for the Warrens on their behalf took place in Connecticut with my friend Lou, who was a former combat Army medic and was working as a current paramedic in the Norwalk EMS system in Connecticut. And that case was amazingly profound on our very first case. And the subsequent cases have led me to open up and to enhance my empathic abilities. And my understanding of what empathy is the ability to receive messages, but more importantly to pick up emotion from these discarnate human intelligences, which are just like you or I, who have left their body behind and basically are existing in between the third and fourth dimension in the spirit form, which is our natural form. And the cases that I was working on after I moved to Washington State all involved helping discarnate human spirits cross over correctly, dealing with families, dealing with lingering loved ones who have unfinished business or who had messages to convey. Very, very interesting and very emotional. And I found great pleasure in the fact that I was able to receive or pick up or intuit information from these spirits and was able to relay those to their family members who are left behind and obviously very concerned for the well-being of their departed loved one. So I'm not a ghost hunter because we don't hunt humans. So why are we hunting ghosts? I don't like the term at all. And these are people just like you or I who've left their bodies behind and are now in their natural spirit state, who most often want help. They don't want their voices recorded unless it's for a message to be relayed. You know, they can care less about photographs being taken, and they're not, a plaything for people to go and pay money to go through a haunted inn or a haunted location. These are people who deserve the same respect that we would expect in our bodies. So I help these people cross over correctly, and for many reasons, beings or spirits who leave their bodies are afraid to go through that portal of light that opens for everybody. It's a vortex of light or a stargate or a wormhole or a tunnel, however you wish to describe it. It is a passageway from this dimension into the next. And people, once they've left their bodies, can understand that they can see and they can think and they can hear and reason and feel just like they could when they were in their bodies. They can deal with that after they come to terms with it. They don't know what's through that light. That could be judgment and damnation for a good percentage of the world's population. So people fear going through that light. They also may have addictions, whether it's to people or places or things or sex or alcohol or whatever it is they're addicted to that they feel they can't get when they go through that vortex, and they're really stuck on that addiction. A lot of people don't even know that they've died. Nobody really ever dies. Nobody in the history of the earth has ever died. But people, once they leave their bodies behind, have the same needs and wants and desires that we had when we were in the body. What's very interesting to me is the personality of the spirit is the same as the personality that the living being had, whether that's nasty or nice. So people will pick up or intuit or smell familiar perfumes or colognes or cigars or cigarettes, or they'll hear familiar sounds of and deep resonances of certain voices and so forth, or pick up impressions and so forth from that person that they knew. But when people cross over and they come back through that light, their message is always one of infinite love, unconditional forgiveness, unconditional love, joy and peace, and they're always appearing when they choose to appear in their 20s. Perfected people, just absolutely beautiful beings radiating light and love and energy. It's never any dark messages. It's always light and love. That everything is very simple. It's just it's a beautiful experience to experience people who come back after they've crossed through, and they come through to check on their loved ones and just to do whatever it is that they wish to do. But by and large, the spirits that people are dealing with in these homes, especially orbs and things of that nature, are people who have not crossed over correctly. Sometimes they're imprints of energetic imprints left behind of a certain pattern that's continuing. But by and large, if it's actually a soul mind or a consciousness involved, this is a person who've left their body behind when the body ceased to function, whether that's from a virus or a great fall or any kind of catastrophe, anything that would cause the body to cease to function and cease to live. They're completely free of the body, and they're just their consciousness. In reality, we are beings of vibration. We are energetic beings. That is our true form, and energy can never die. It changes forms. We've all heard that before, but it's astounding that it's all frequency and it's all vibration. And when beings leave their bodies behind, they're vibrating or resonating just outside of the limited range of our five senses to decode. And that's why they're invisible to most people, except people who are psychics and who have certain psychic abilities. We all have psychic abilities, but we never practice them. We're trained from when we're very little children that when we have imaginary playmates, that eventually it's time to grow up and we don't see those things. Those things are foolish. They're make-believe, and we're taught that they're not real. So we pull down the veil, or we make it more difficult for us to access these feelings and emotions and energies and vibrations. It's all energies and vibrations. We all have the ability. We just don't spend the time to hone those abilities. If you want to become a master pianist, you'll play the piano for 8 hours a day, every day, for 8 years. If you want to become a master sensitive, you're going to develop your sensitivity and try to feel with your emotions and feel energy fields instead of trying to use your regular eyes and using your mind. Everything happens within the mind. Your pineal gland, which is a pine cone shaped grain of rice-sized gland in the center of your brain, has always been called the third eye, and that is our psychic sense. That is photosensitive, and you'll pick up light emanations from that, and that's where you'll pick up things and see things through your inner eye and through your inner mind. Really, all hauntings begin in the mind. When you have a situation where you have footsteps being heard above you and you know no one's in the house, there's no physical weight being applied to the floorboards to make a creaking sound. That is an impression that this spirit is sending into your mind. It is sending you the impression of what it believes a creaking floorboard would sound like, just to put that into your head. It's as simple as that. And that's why some people and not others, when there's a group together, will see things or hear things, and the rest of the group will think that that person's making up stories or they're out of their mind. And sometimes an entire group will have an experience, such as this very first case that I was on when I was working with the Warrens way back in 1986. And I can go into that in a different segment, but it was a very, very, very fascinating case, and I think most researchers would, spend years trying to see something that we saw. And we got it on our first case, which was great. And it's never about sensationalism. With the Warrens, it's never about sensationalism. With me, and I follow their doctrine and their protocol strictly, and have ever since. And I've increased my awareness and so forth by working all these years on my own and so forth. But the doctrine is the same, and it's not to sensationalize a case or try to get a photograph or try to get an EVP. I've seen plenty. I've heard plenty with my own ears. I'm not about having to put these things on the video or on the internet for people to see and make a name for myself for a picture or an EVP. We are our own gadget. We don't need gadgets and EVP meters and all these cameras and all these different doodads. We don't need all that stuff. We are our instrument. We are the psychic instrument. That's all we need. And to be able to use our intuition to communicate with other beings is to me, a blessing. And that is all I have to say in this segment. Thank you very much.